here. And Williams is a speed burner, big play offensive receiver. And this raises the question, adding depth in this area. Kevin Williams did come on at the end of last year to help out Michael Irvin. And as we pointed out earlier, the Cowboys, with Deion Sanders now a full-time football player, they expect him to play a lot more on offense. We'll go back down to New York, and as soon as the Cowboys make that other pick, we'll get back to you, Chris.
All right, Chris, thank you. Steph, Fred Williams, they might as well try a receiver. I mean, they don't know where they're going to be, and even though Deion's a full-time football player, I mean, and Williams came on at the end of the year. Plus, a wide receiver named Steph Fred. You got to know there's a hop in the giddy up there with a guy named Steph Fred.
You know, right? He can step out.
That's right.
So he's a Steph Fred kind of guy.
And so they have one selection left. And some thoughts on some teams that we didn't wrap around with some of our reporters that did well, and then maybe Mel, a team that might have missed, although I don't really see any. Joe, who do you like today?
I think a team that has done very well in free agency is the Philadelphia Eagles, and I think they did very well addressing needs here today. They wound up taking a tackle in Mayberry. They wound up getting a tight end in Dunn. They wound up looking down the road, got themselves a quarterback. One of the couple really, I think, worthy of a third-round pick would have been Bobby Hoying. So Mayberry, Dunn, and Hoying go to Philadelphia. Mel, I just think that the Eagles have taken and addressed needs that they didn't address in free agency, and they've got people in affordable positions, and they're going to make a legitimate run at the NFC championship.
I think Jim Moore in New Orleans, he needed a good draft to get him over the top. I mean, there's a lot of jobs on the line in New Orleans. They have to be competitive this year. I like New Orleans getting an Alex Molden, the cornerback from Oregon, to help them against Atlanta and San Francisco. Gerard Cherry is a cornerback safety who can cover. So if you play him inside, you have that coverage ability, which is critical to match up against those slot receivers. And then Brady Smith, I think, could be the steal of this draft. Outstanding pass rusher. You don't lead the nation in tackles for loss without having ability. Then he dominated Robin Obed, who went earlier in the third round to the New York Giants. I really like Brady Smith. He's up to 260. He could be 275 by the start of the season.
Maybe at the end of tonight, he could be up to 275. Let's go back to Chris Myers in Dallas for the last pick of the evening. Chris?
The line, Chris, but you and Mel might have to help me out with the pronunciation on this one. A defensive tackle from Brigham Young as the Cowboys close out the round. Mike, I believe it's Ulafani, and this helps out as they drafted a defensive lineman to open their draft when they traded out of the first round. The Cowboys, again, looking for depth with Charles Haley's health condition and his age, and, of course, Russell Maryland moving on to free agency. So, Mike Ulafani, if I'm saying that properly, is the Cowboys' final pick of the third round. Let's go back to Chris Berman in New York.
All right, Chris, great job by you and by everybody around, and we look forward to all our reports tomorrow. Ulafani, any word on him, Mel?
Michael Ulafali is a kid, you know, when you watch him at BYU, he played tackle, he could play end. We had him at the Hula Bowl. Makes some plays. There he goes. The Ulafali just announced, but he really makes a lot of plays behind the line of scrimmage, despite not having great weight room strength. And I think that's the area he needs to improve on once he gets to the Cowboys. But a guy that certainly at BYU was a guy that did make plays in the backfield, and that's what he's going to have an opportunity to do in Dallas.
Joe, 10 hours of coverage?
Well done.
I think overall, I think the draft turned out very good. I think a lot of people got a lot of help. I think there are a lot of young men who are going to make these rosters. I think they have to make the rosters now because, obviously, of the economics that are involved. But a lot of football teams improved themselves in this draft. I couldn't find one out there that I thought didn't do very well.
Here's the lineup for tomorrow. If today was the Iliad, tomorrow is the Odyssey. NFL draft begins at 11 a.m. on regular ESPN, on ESPN Classic, if you will. And then we go to ESPN2 at 1 o'clock, rounds 4, 5, 6, 7, every pick wire to wire here on ESPN. So we hope you've enjoyed our coverage of the NFL draft. For Mel Kiper and for Joe Theismann, it's always a pleasure to see you guys in April. Means the season is officially underway. I can't reach that far. And thanks to everybody for hanging in with us. It's a labor of love here as the 96 season is underway. I'm Chris Berman. Thanks for watching. Where's that man Brewski?
college unknowns have now left lasting impressions on a league of stars. The past proves that the day after shapes a winning foundation. Yesterday's disappointments are today's hopes. These are the names and faces of day 2. Today, these college record breakers face the unknown. These Saturday heroes now look to Sunday glory. Yesterday was about starting the marketing of stars. Today is about building a team to compete in the era of the salary cap. We welcome you live to New York, the theater at Madison Square Garden for day 2 of the NFL Draft, rounds 4 through 7, with Mel Kiper Jr. and Sterling Sharp. Mike Tirico, we welcome you on board for our live coverage. Every pick the rest of the way will be here on ESPN or on ESPN2 when we switch over at 1 Eastern. Why watch the draft today? Well, there are a lot of reasons. Number one, if you're a college fan, all the guys who were the great stars on Saturday now make the next move to the NFL, see where they fit at the next level of football. If you're an NFL fan, I consider this day 2 of your off-season minicamp. This is how you get ready to see how good your team is going to be for next year. And the players taken in rounds 4 through 7 last year, 72% of them were on NFL rosters when the season ended. So these players must contribute. Talking about players, Mel, who are the best ones left?
There's some good ones, and Jimmy Johnson plans on doing some damage on the second day. And we start out with Chris Dawkins, a running back from Nebraska. Of course, he had the 1,600-yard junior year, injured as a senior. He's still available. Jason Odom is not a finesse player. It's just because he played in the fun and gun in Florida. He'll get after you. Stanley Pritchett can catch the ball. Can he be a lead blocker? We flip it on over. Javon Langford, a little inconsistent, but has good pass rush potential. Same thing with Daniels. Reggie Barlow's that small college wideout, great return man. And Greg Myers, an intellectual free safety, almost an extension of your defensive coordinator.
A lot of those players probably had a long, sleepless night, disappointed about not being taken. You can't relate. You were a first-round pick, but you were around someone who had that long night.
You're exactly right, Mike. My brother and I, he came up and watched the draft with me, and as the 3rd round concluded, he was like, man, I just want to go somewhere and prove that I can play in the NFL. And I think all the guys drafted on today, you'll find out in the NFL, you have to show up every day, every week, especially on Sunday. And so this is an opportunity for them not only to get that glory back into their lives, but to prove to the teams that didn't take them earlier that they're big-time players.
And with the salary cap, these round picks become very important. Some of the storylines from yesterday include the St. Louis Rams and their selection of Lawrence Phillips. Today, you will hear from Lawrence Phillips as he has arrived in St. Louis, and we'll hear his first comments to the media in quite some time. We will do that and also take you around the NFL all day, starting with Chris Mortensen in Miami.
Well, it's been a